स्पॉटलाइट में आपका स्वागत है। मैं हूं आपकी होस्ट अमीता। Join me weekly as I talk to inspiring guests who will share their success stories. आज हमारे साथ स्टूडियो में है a young drummer, percussionist, vocalist and a pianist. Having achieved success and fame at such a young age, she's quite extraordinary. It's my pleasure to welcome to our studio Miss Sarah Thawer. Sarah, it's amazing to have you here today.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
I'm looking forward to hearing all about your musical adventures. लेकिन उससे पहले, tell the viewers a little bit about your upbringing and education.
Sure. So, education-wise, I've actually been self-taught since I was a child. I grew up in a musical family. My grandfather played percussion. My dad plays piano. So I used to babysit me and my sister on drums as we were kids. And I kind of took it further. I also studied a classical piano under the RCM until grade 9-10. I studied classical Indian tabla as well. And I formally started learning a drum set in university, but I've been playing drum set and hand percussion since I was like 2.
Amazing, since age 2.
Long time.
I think I was not even walking at that time. That's interesting. I know you said self-taught, but it sounds like music was also in your family, in your genes, because your parents, I mean your dad and your granddad were into it.
Yes.
So if I could go back to that a bit, are they still playing now?
Yeah, my dad still performs, does a lot of session work. He plays with a lot of playback artists. Like he's also played with Abida Parvin, Manade, and a bunch of people. So like we still perform together today as well. Like we just played with Sadhna Sargam when she came here.
Yes, nice. Yeah. Well, it sounds like you are the go-to people for when big artists come here, because as a family you do great. So then coming back to it, so I think it is kind of in your blood, but then you decided to pave your own way. Right from the get-go, how did you know percussion was what you wanted to pursue?
I was just always attracted to it. I always just loved rhythm. Like I remember, I don't know if you know what the guttam is or
I'm
unu
not
pot.
sure.
It's just like a clay pot. A South Indian rhythmist play it.
Okay.
So I remember as a child, I always wanted that pot. So I would take all the cookie jars around the house and then start playing them. I'd be like, Mom, I want this guttam so bad. So I just always gravitated towards rhythm and percussion. And then I remember grade 8, I'd play on the table during lunch hour, and I'd get all my friends, and we'd get kicked out of class and everything for just playing rhythm on tables and stuff.
A rebel, but a musical rebel.
That's true.
Who eventually has gone on to make a difference now. So it sounds like that's why you gravitated towards percussion, and that's probably why you also pursued music as a career.
Yes.
Now, as a South Asian woman, you know, going into music as a career can have its challenges, I believe, because usually you're stereotyped into a certain role, you know, traditional South Asian woman role. So I have to ask you, it sounds like your family was supportive, but were there any challenges?
Like when I lift my own equipment, everyone's like, oh my God, do you need help? Or like, if I'm about to play, or like, are you sure you can play? So I guess when someone first looks at me, they kind of assume that, oh, she can't do much or she can't play anything. But I just feel like I'm so into it, I'm just so passionate, I just do my thing, and then people are like, wow, and then they're shocked. Then they come up to me and they tell me, we want our daughters like to get into this. And I said, like, it is totally possible.
That's amazing. I love the inspiration that you set out to, you know, the girls, if you want to say the girls out there, saying that it is possible. You can think outside the box and go for it. Yeah. So that's amazing. Now, it's not just percussion. I mean, you play a lot of different instruments. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Have you kept count of how many you play?
It's quite a few.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. So are there any favorites?
Like drum set is my main thing that I love so much. I also love Latin percussion, where it's like congas, timbales, bongos, so on. I love to play piano. I also love to sing. Tabla too, I love. I don't know, it's like asking like a mother, which child do you like better? You know? It's too hard to pick.
Nice. So we just heard, so it's outside the South Asian realm as well. I guess you're going into mainstream then too, because you said about, you know, Latin rhythms as well.
Yeah.
So do you do both mainstream and South Asian?
So because I studied at university, I got into a lot of jazz. So I play a lot of traditional jazz. I love to play funk R&B stuff. I love to play gospel music as well. Like I play in church every week because it's so soulful and it's so much fun to play. I love Afro-Cuban stuff. I also play a lot of Brazilian music. Am I missing anything? Just
all in all, you're a world artist.
Yeah, I just feel like as a musician, you have to dive into every culture because every culture has different things that are important to them. And I think that shapes you as an overall mature musician.
Well spoken, like a true artist. When you're so passionate about something, culture is no barrier. Like you actually make yourself learn different cultures and the music of the different cultures.
Yes.
So that's amazing. So we know that's why people come to you for, any kind. And I think you also take it upon yourself like you did at the age of 2. Even if you don't know something, you make yourself learn it, or you decide, you're going to make yourself learn it.
100%.
Amazing. So I'm looking forward to hearing something from you, and there's lots more to you. There's amazing stuff you do outside just using instruments to create music. We're going to find out more about it, but before that, it's time for a short break. Spotlight में फिर से आपका स्वागत है. We are talking to a young inspirational role model who is a drummer, percussionist, vocalist and pianist, Miss Sarah Thawer. And now we get to hear what she has to offer in the musical world. Take it away, Sarah. Wow, bravo. You had me dancing in my head and I would have gotten up there if you're not stopped. That's amazing. And what I saw is you use more than just your hands. I'm going to come to that in a minute.
Sure.
Before that, if you could tell the viewers a little bit about the instrument you just played.
Cool. So this is a set of bongos. This is actually a Latin percussion instrument. And I think, as we all know, Artie Berman and all the legendary Indian composers use a lot of Latin-influenced rhythms in their music as well. So I use it in the South Asian music and in the authentic Afro-Cuban music.
Amazing. You seem to be well versed in a lot of the musical culture around the world, and I know for a fact that you have been part of many memorable projects. You have already mentioned a few. Can you enlighten us more?
Like of the projects that I've done?
Yes.
So I've worked with Salim Sulaiman, A.R. Rahman, Benny Dial, a bunch of different artists. I've been really fortunate and very lucky to be a part of those projects.
Amazing. Any venues, any coveted musical venues that you have been part of beyond just the artists?
I've played at Corner Hall this past summer, and for me that was a really big highlight. And that was actually with musicians from around the world, and we played like flamenco music, Colombian music, and a lot of fusion music and Brazilian music.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now I know, like you said earlier, for a mom, every child is the same, so probably this is what you're going to tell me, but I still have to ask, if there was any artist that you would like to play with again, or any venue you would like to go play at again, which one would it be, or which artist would it be?
Again, or just anything?
Like again, or any projects that are so memorable to you that you want to do it, relive the moment again. Any particular projects that are close to heart, or like you said, they're all close to heart for you?
I think playing with A.R. Rahman at Sony Center.
Wow.
This past summer, I think I'd love to relive that moment a billion times.
So tell us what that experience was like behind the scenes. I mean, the audience got to experience the musical fiesta and how amazing the whole ensemble was. But how was it behind the scenes, the rehearsals and
Well, how it all began is that I got an email 2-3 years ago from a manager saying that there's a big project happening in India and we want you to come and be a part of it. I was in school at the time, and I get a lot of emails for random people because of my YouTube channel, so I thought it was a fake or someone was playing a prank on me. So I never got back to that email. Then maybe a couple of days later, I found out that A.R. Rahman was trying to contact me a couple of years ago to be a part of Coke Studio. and I missed that opportunity, but that's okay. I just had faith that hopefully one day our paths will cross again. So he came here, and I got to go backstage and talk to him. And he's like, oh, hey, you're Sophie. I'm like, no, not Sophie. He's like, I'm Sarah. He's like, oh, you're Sarah. How about you just come on stage with us and just jam out? I said, okay.
Wow.
So next day I just got called to sound check. And Rahman sir was just like, okay, just hop on the drums and just show us something. So I just played something. Then we're like, okay, humma, okay. Let's just trade a couple of bars and just, okay, that's it.
Wow.
So it was kind of on the spot kind of thing.
But that's because your work spoke for itself, like what you have put out there and what people have seen, they know that you can take up anything, and that's amazing. So it sounds like even Rahman is somebody who helps, new talent or gives them the platform to move forward.
Yes.
Nice. So I hope you get to work with Rahman more too, because I know you will add more, delight and spice and everything, the masala to his music, because that's how well you are doing now and from what we saw of you play. So coming back to what you just showed us, what I mean by that is, I saw you using more than hands. You used your elbow, you used the table we just had here, and how do you do that?
In my mind, I just find like different ways to produce different kinds of sounds. And I love to be creative, and I don't like using the conventional way that many people already do. So what more can you use than your hands? You can use your face, you can use your elbows, you can use your nails, you can use like anything.
And I have seen that on your YouTube channel, which is, by the way, Sarah T Drum Guru. So that is the YouTube channel, and I've seen you use different things there. You already mentioned when you were younger, to get your parents to get you the instrument you needed, you were using like the pots, everything at home. But what you will see on the YouTube channel, you use even things like the hair straightener.
Yeah, that was my sister's, by the way, and I got into so much trouble for using that, but it's okay.
Trouble then, but they see how well you have done, so now I'm pretty sure they let you experiment with anything around the house. Is that right?
I guess so, yeah.
Now I have to ask you though, yes, you said it's all about the rhythm, so you discover the rhythm in different things around you, but say you are put on the spot and it's the first time you're using not the instrument but something around you, like for example this table. You didn't know what kind of resonance or what kind of percussion sound it would produce. How do you gauge that, like if you're put on the spot?
For me, I just kind of take a look at it, and like different parts of your hand produce different sounds. So like if I go with the heel, you get a bass tone, and with your nail, so you just kind of feel it out.
Nice. So there is some science behind it too, and then the genetics from within you, and I guess practice makes perfect. So over time you realize like what sounds parts of your body can make, what sounds things around you can make.
Yes.
Have you worked with other artists who do the same, or you are unique in that respect?
Many artists that I look up to definitely use different parts of their body. Like on the drum set, people use their elbows. And I know a couple of percussionists who play body percussion, where they use their entire body to make sounds.
This is totally cool. We are going into a whole new realm of music, and we want to find out more. But before that, it's time for a short break. Welcome back to Spotlight. We are talking to the amazing Sarah Thawer. So Sarah, we have heard you play, we have heard about what you do in general, but we did touch upon the fact that you are a vocalist and a pianist as well. So tell us a little bit more. So yes, we know Sarah as the drum guru, but what is it about being a vocalist and pianist? Like, do you do projects with that as well?
Yes, well, growing up, my dad and my mom's dream was for me to be a vocalist and a pianist. It wasn't for me to be a drummer. So as a kid, I was forced to take singing lessons. So I took like Hindustani classical singing lessons for like 8 years and took piano lessons for like 10 years. Now I realize that it benefited me because when you play drums and percussion, there's no harmony or there's no melody. So when you want to compose music and get into that aspect, playing piano is extremely important because playing piano is like the basis of music. And I feel singing has so much emotion and so much expression that you can just let go of. So I feel to be a well-rounded musician, all these things work hand in hand.
it's a very typical story. Like, your parents want you to do something, and then at the time you're like, oh, why am I doing this? And later on you realize it actually works out to your benefit, right? Yeah. So with the singing and with the piano, do you also incorporate that into projects where you're also doing percussions, or that's like totally separate?
I do definitely incorporate it.
Okay.
But I aspire to incorporate it a lot more in the upcoming months.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where can we hear you sing or play the piano? I mean, with the drums, I know you drums or percussion, you're everywhere. Everywhere. I'm literally saying everywhere. Any event I come to, I see Sarah playing, and it's amazing. But where can we find more about you in terms of singing and the piano?
I'll be posting more of those performances and works in the future. So like on social media, if you follow me on Twitter, Facebook, you'll find out.
Okay, there you go. It's all like every bit of you is a surprise. We get to find out more instruments you play, and the changes you bring about in people. Like today too, I feel all positive around you and musical, and it's healing. It's quite healing. So yes, you were mentioning that there are things coming up, but I have to ask you, yes, you're young, there's still more to explore, but do you have any ultimate goals with where you're going?
My ultimate goal is to play like with music. Like I have a list of musicians that I one day dream to play with, and I hope to one day I fulfill that list, but also to compose music that ultimately touches people and that makes a difference in people's lives. Because my opinion is that like one is given a gift to share with others. So my ultimate goal is to inspire and to share.
Very well said. And definitely music is healing. We were talking about how the human body, mind itself has its own rhythm. And then if you bring in the external rhythm, it does scientifically, if you want to put it, or, in a spiritual way, align our body in such a way, then probably we don't see a lot of stress. Or if we have some disease, it does help to heal.
Yes.
So it sounds like you love music. We already see that, hear that, and that's why you love life, because you're using music as a healing power for yourself or to get yourself forward.
Yes.
But I do have to ask you, do you take a break from it? Do you have other hobbies?
I feel like I should sometimes take breaks, and my family tells me like you need to take it easy sometimes and step away from music, but I feel like I have a hard time doing that. I used to play a lot of basketball when I was in high school or like junior high, but then I started getting finger injuries. So I started getting freaked out. So I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna play any sports anymore.
You know where your goal is like, no, I need to keep these fun.
Yeah, so I feel like music is a sense of healing for me. Hanging out with friends, relaxing with family. That's kind of the life.
So you are at home with family?
Yes,
tell us a little bit about your family.
So I have a twin sister. She's doing her Doctor of Pharmacy.
Totally different.
Yeah, totally different.
I love it. So most of the time you hear, parents, when you have twins, okay, dress them up the same way, make them go to school, do the same thing, but I love it.
It works so
totally
well.
Different line, but it sounds like she's also healing, you're also healing.
Yeah.
So the ultimate goal is the same.
Exactly, yes it is.
Sorry to have interrupted, but that was amazing.
No.
Sorry, yes.
Thank you. And I have my mom and my dad, and we're all at home cozy together.
And do you have jam sessions? I know your sister, you said, is in pharmacy, but like we already heard, your dad, with the troops. So do you have music jam sessions spontaneously at home?
As a child, like me and my dad used to just jam out all the time together. But now, like I invite a lot of my friends over, and we like learn music and jam and do all sorts of things, because I have a studio set up in my basement.
Oh, nice. And where can we find out more about these upcoming projects or about yourself?
So I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. So if you just type up like Sarah T Drum Guru, you can find me everywhere.
I love it. Sorry, I went the Sarah way, but it can be Sarah.
It works both ways. Like the Indians, they say Sarah, but like the non-Indians say Sarah.
Oh, that's not good.
So, I love both. So whatever floats your boat.
No, what I meant by that's not good, I went for Sarah.
Oh.
So does that mean I'm not Indian?
Just look at your skin.
So that's where we can find out more about Sarah T Drum Guru. Right. So it's amazing talking to you because you have a lot of positivity, but beyond that, the fact that you're finding the potential within you and exploring it further. You have the support of your family, you did mention that, but you also mentioned about how when people told you to do a certain thing, if it wasn't what you wanted, you would go your own way, set the mark, be the leader, and then others would follow. And that is what we need for the younger generation. Sometimes it's hard to find that role model to follow or principles to turn to. And you're such a shining example of, thinking outside the box, paving your own way, making a mark. So I have a request for you. There are many out there watching us who aspire to be like you someday in their own way. Do you have any words of advice for them?
I would just say do what makes you happy, because you'll find yourself with a lot of, when you have passion, that's the road to happiness for me. Like my parents, people around me used to tell me, become a doctor, study hard in math, so they would think that you'd get a good source of income and that would make you happy. But then I came to realize that these things won't make me happy. So just find what makes you happy, and then passion will follow along, and so will the hard work.
I love it. You found the true meaning of life. It's, pursue something you're happy about rather than, getting stuck in a place where you don't want to be.
Yes.
Amazing. Sarah, it's been a pleasure talking to you, not just because the healing that you brought to us today through your music, not just because of that, it's also because of your inspirational words of wisdom. We wish you all the best for all the upcoming projects, and we look forward to following you on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, on YouTube, everywhere. You're going to be everywhere. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
तो ये थे मिस सैरा थावर, जिन्होंने हमें एहसास दिलाया है कि the human mind and body has limitless potential that can be tapped into to create life that is beautiful. Well, that's a wrap for this week's show. Thank you for watching us. We will continue to bring you inspiring guests who will share their success stories. Continue to follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and write to me at VJ Amitha Spotlight@gmail.com. Until next week, this is Amitha encouraging you to follow your dreams to your own spotlight.